The American actress Reese Witherspoon set up her own book club called Reese's Book Club in 2017. Her big idea was to connect with people, shining a light on the stories that she found meaningful, stories about women written by women. The books she selects have the power to spark discussions, make us laugh when we need it most, and bond us over something bigger than ourselves. Her media company, Hello Sunshine, has been involved in the adaptation of several of her book club picks into films and television series, so I'm going to talk about 3 of them today. Little Fires Everywhere was the first one she adapted into a mini-series. It's the second novel by the American author Celeste Ng. It was published in 2017 and takes place in Shaker Heights, Ohio, where Celeste grew up. The story focuses on 2 families living in 1990s Shaker Heights who were brought together through their children. Celeste described writing about her hometown as a little bit like writing about a relative. You see all of the great things about them, you love them dearly, and yet you also know all of their quirks and their foibles. There are lots of 90s references in the book like Sir Mix-a-Lot, Smashing Pumpkins, Jerry Springer, and Monica Lewinsky. It's a story about motherhood, adolescence, race, rules, right and wrong, and so much more. The mini-series actually starred Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington as the 2 mothers from different socioeconomic backgrounds. Next we have Where the Crawdads Sing, a 2018 coming-of-age murder mystery novel by American zoologist Delia Owens. The story follows 2 timelines that slowly intertwine. The first describes the life and adventures of a young girl as she grows up isolated in the marshes of North Carolina. The second follows an investigation into the apparent murder of Chase Andrews, a local celebrity of Barkley Cove, a fictional coastal town of North Carolina. The character of Kia is an interesting one. She's drawn to 2 young men from town who are each intrigued by her wild beauty. The book is an exquisite ode to the natural world against a profound coming-of-age story and haunting mystery. Thought-provoking, wise, and deeply moving, the book reminds us that we are forever shaped by the child within us, while also subject to the beautiful and violent secrets that nature keeps. And finally, Daisy Jones and the Six, a historical fiction novel by American author Taylor Jenkins Reid, published in 2019. It tells the story of a 1970s band that gives individual interviews leading up to their final show and subsequent breakup as a band. It's loosely inspired by Fleetwood Mac and the recording of their 1977 album Rumours. Daisy is a girl coming of age in LA in the late 60s, sneaking into clubs on the Sunset Strip, sleeping with rock stars and dreaming of singing at the Whiskey A Go-Go. The sex and drugs are thrilling, but it's the rock and roll she loves most. By the time she's 20, her voice is getting noticed, and she has the kind of headless beauty that makes people do crazy things. Also getting noticed is the Six, a band led by the brooding Billy Dunn. On the eve of their first tour, his girlfriend Camilla finds out she's pregnant, and with the pressure of impending fatherhood and fame, Billy goes a little wild on the road. Daisy and Billy cross paths when a producer realises that the key to supercharged success is to put the 2 together. What happens next will become the stuff of legend. The story is told in an oral history format, with interviews from the band members being the guiding force of the novel. There are also emails, song lyrics, and transcripts. Each section is split into years that contain critical events leading up to the band's success and eventual demise. It's quite an interesting and unusual way of formatting a novel. What do we think, ladies?
They all sound good. I've seen the mini-series of Little Fires.
Yeah, great, wasn't it?
It was really good, and I love Reese Witherspoon. I love everything about her.
I do.
She's maintained her dignity.
Definitely.
The clever move of doing the book club.
Yeah. She's a very smart woman.
Do you know what? I just remember seeing her. Was it Legally Blonde, the films that she did? And I think I just fell in love with her since then.
Definitely. I feel like if I met her, we'd be great friends. You know what I mean?
I feel like what you see is what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I also think, she seems very down to earth.
Yeah.
And I love when I've seen interviews with her and how she says things, for example, like when in all the movies, it always has a woman turning to the man saying, "What should we do now?" And there's this great bit when Reese was, whatever woman would ever turn around and say to a bloke, "What do we do now?" And yet, if you look at the movies, so I love the way she brings, she highlights these things. And then another thing which you can all go check out is from that movie Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
She does her graduation speech at the end. Well, Donald Trump has a speech that basically is the copy of that speech.
No way.
So whether one of his speech writers was trying to get his own back or something, because it is, go check it out. But it was very, very similar. So great
amazing.
movie.
Yeah.
And I just love that she calls her agency Little Miss Sunshine.
I know, exactly.
I mean, that's just magic.
But it's great because she gives all these writers the opportunity. She has the rights of making the films, but she's very fair about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a win-win. It's not one of these companies that just wants to take over, be in charge, and no, like everybody wins in that aspect.
Literally sharing the sunshine.
Yeah.
And then the last one as well, that sounds very interesting.
I got goosebumps while you were explaining that. I got chills.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So
that sounds like I think that is one I will go and get and read.
Well, something that's become really popular in recent years. So YA novels, which I spoke about a few months ago, young adult novels. So books, and again, the definition of a young adult can really change, and it's really important, I think, when parents are buying a book for their child to make sure it's age appropriate, because you might decide that a book for a 7-year-old is obviously a different audience than a book for a 13 or 14-year-old. So make sure you're aware of that as a parent. But there are some young adult books, particularly for the 13 to 16 market, that are great to read for adults, because this whole coming of age thing, that is 13 to 16. So it's written for people that age. But as adults, we've all come of age ourselves. We've all been through those experiences. So a lot of the time, we can relate to all of the subjects they're talking about. And if they're written well, then they're just as much fun to read as an adult. So don't be put off by young adult novels if you're an adult.
It's the format of the way you explain that the last one is written that for me is intriguing. That it's done like a real historic interviews. I think it's a nice approach.
Yeah, definitely.
A novel approach.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, it's true. It makes it more interesting. A more interesting read when it's slightly different like that.
It kind of reminded me a little bit when you were talking about it, a bit kind of like, A Star Is Born when with Lady Gaga, and it was not the but a little bit kind of like they're brought together and then
the acing. I'm thinking
happens.
You said that, and I'm thinking Chris Christopherson and
Yes,
Barbara Streisand. She comes out with the new one. I haven't even seen the new one because I so loved the original and the songs and the whole thing is I couldn't even conceive that maybe it could be good in a different way.
A lot of people have said that, but then having watched it, it's very good. It's different. The music is different, but the music is fantastic.
Really? Yeah.
Perhaps I'll have to give it a go. But I haven't wanted to because I love the original Star Is Born. I saw it in Kingston, living in Walton-on-Thames, and cried the whole way home. I was like,
But do you know what? As you say, even with the songs afterwards, you just listen to a few and they just get you going, isn't it? So do you know what? Maybe
always remember us this way.
I know. It's so deep, isn't it?
Well,
do you know what? Maybe you watch the new one and I'll watch the other one.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Oh dear.
We'll do that.
We can compare
Exactly.
I'll watch yours if you watch mine.
Exactly.
Like it.